Dude, why is Paladin so broken in this dungeon? Dude, I'm liking Paladin. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is my place on the DPS. What is the Warlock doing? You cannot get out DPS by a 370 Paladin as a 400 Warlock. Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Last Thursday, April 11th, we had the first live stream on this channel. We kickstarted the Impossible Challenge, and for those of you that need a reminder of what the challenge is, as well as its rules, I will link to them in the description box below, as well as give you a brief description of them. And for those of you that want to see the whole recording of day one, I will have a link to it in the description box below, as well as at the end of this video. The tank that you guys chose is a Protection Paladin, and we started with item level 370, and within just a couple of hours of going live, we were able to do a 12. If you haven't seen that video, check the description box below. And in this video, I'm proud to show you a 14 Nokhud that we have 2-chested. If you're ready, I'm ready. Give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it. Let's see. We want some good DPS. The problem is not the fact that I can't survive, so I don't have tier set as one of the issues, and my item level is also not decently high. The goal for today is to get a 18 done. Maybe a bit more. I am a little bit afraid of maybe Ruby Life Pools. I'll take them. Cancel. Let's get this one. So this is a 14. A 14 on a 377 Protection Paladin. Alright, we will do a voiceover commentary. In the meantime, like I got you guys used to it in the previous videos, I was pretty focused in these keys during the live stream, so I kept pretty quiet. Now here we go into the first pool, and unfortunately I did not see this in the recording, but the shaman actually ends up dying here. So we didn't pop Bloodlust for this first one. He is running back. I would have preferred if he actually popped Bloodlust for that one, because I used everything, potions and so on, cooldowns, everything. Where's the shaman? Beware. Yeah, I wasn't aware. I did not really see what happened to him. Where was he? So unfortunately he died, but that's okay. Both of the ranged, both the Warlock and the Shaman were taking so much damage. They were standing in a lot of the AoE. Most of the damage here is preventable. Okay, he did it. So just so you know, if you do play either melee or ranged, you can avoid most of the swirlies. Pretty much all the damage here is avoidable. Oh man. So that's what happened to the Warlock. There he stood in a bunch of avoidable damage. So he ended up paying the price. This is usually a make it or break it time for a lot of Nokhud keys, especially higher ones, because people stay in avoidable damage or they do not pop any of the defensives. If you take a look at the left of the player frames, you will see all of the cooldowns displayed, and you will see who uses what. I'm paying attention to stuff there for a second. And this is what's basically gonna make the difference between good players and bad players. And I recommend everybody get Omni CD and configure it. If you need my configuration, leave a description. Leave a comment in the description, in the comment section down below, and I'll make sure to reply to it. Beware. But yeah, you definitely want to take a look at it to see who uses. Wait a second. Dude, I cannot be carrying, streaming, eating, and doing all these things at the same time. Or can I? One of the issues here was the fact that I have been doing so much damage compared to the Warlock. It almost felt like we were carrying the Warlock. Now, he is not the most geared player in this dungeon, but compared to me, he is miles ahead. My Paladin at this point is 377, while the Warlock is well above 400. So there should be no reason for him doing less DPS than me, or half the DPS of the other ranged characters or melee characters in this dungeon. At a certain point, you will actually see the shaman pumping so hard, I think on one of the boss's openers, that he pretty much out DPSs everybody. Why do you keep taking so much damage? Has to be avoidable damage. It has to be, because then everybody else would be taking it. You know, it just feels so weird. The same person takes consistently that much damage. And that's a very good point I'm making here, because it becomes very frustrating for the people that are in a key. They see the same person failing again and again and again, and that's what creates tension. Killer doing the spears? Nice. When you see people able to do mechanics like the healer, the spears, you know which person becomes reliable in a key and which person doesn't do pretty much anything. So then you have to pick up the slack. If they don't interrupt, they don't CC, they don't use defensives, you kind of need to fill in. At this point, I don't want to use my my wings. I don't want to use wings here because I need it for the next pull. I would be extremely silly if I did that. I would be trolling. Like, it's legitimately reportable. The next pull is going to be the waterfall pull, and that's a pretty dangerous one. You basically want to have every single cooldown. So I call waterfall, I type it in the party chat so everybody knows where we're going. And I also tell them that I have every single interrupt on X. So all they need to do is make sure they kick call. However, in the beginning, because I'm a paladin, I'm able to basically carry the team through these pulls. I'm soloing everything. I was basically soloing every single interrupt there. And in this second area, I actually am pretty happy with the way in which I play. I don't do that many mistakes. I'm capable of doing a lot of interrupts, capitalizing on the strengths of the paladin. Dude, why is paladin so broken in this dungeon? When I actually saw this pull, oh my god, and the damage display of that initial pull, I felt a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I'm not sure if we can two-chest this key, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, I just had it in the back of my head, man, if I'm able to pump that much as a 377 paladin compared to everybody else, most of the people in this group are above 400 item level. So having that big of a difference in item level, you should not see especially the tank, especially a tank that doesn't have a 2-set bonus or the 4-set bonus, being able to pump that hard. I have no more juice. Okay, I have one more kick. Purge. Oh, very good. Now, I say that assuming the fact that everybody actually plays their class correctly, and because this is a PUG, that's not really what happens. You can actually see in this pull, the Demon Hunter immediately pumped damage, got threat, and got one shot. I immediately combat res him because we need him here in order to interrupt.
Bro.
I don't want to say I panic here, but I have that reaction because I pretty much was focused on other things, focused on resing him, wasn't focused on kicks, wasn't focused on stuns. I didn't take a look at my cooldowns, and this can definitely set you back. Like, one player's mistake will make you play worse. Sometimes that happens. It's fine. Use the combat res. We got him back up. I immediately got him up because that was the better decision than just letting him fly back. We needed him.
Come on, man.
Again, the same thing here. Like, they do not wait for me to take threat. They just start pumping right away, which is not a good thing to do, especially in these keys when you're playing with somebody that's a little bit under-geared. You want to give them the chance to take the threat. And also, even if you're doing these higher keys. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is my place on the DPS meter. It did feel, it was like a good point. Somebody actually pointed it out in the stream, and I sort of read it, and I had it in the back of my head. That's why I had to vocalize it. Because, to me, it felt like a little bit weird that I was doing so much damage. Like, you see on this pull, I'm pretty much up there with the other Paladin and the Demon Hunter. We had to wait for the Shaman to drink here, so that's why I did a timer. Good luck. Popping potion. Wait, not yet. Now, pop the potion, and let's blast. I am big. So big. So at this point, I'm really pumping out of my mind here. I am not entirely sure. I haven't really broken down the rotation of the Paladin yet. What is the Warlock doing? You cannot get out DPS by a 370 Paladin as a 400 Warlock. I'm not gonna lie, it felt a little bit uncomfortable playing with this Warlock, simply because I just didn't see him participate at all in this key. Like, he didn't have the proper CC taken, not the proper spells. He never did AoE stuns, never did anything like this. So, and he also didn't do enough DPS to say, hey, I am at least carrying DPS. Right. He didn't have the proper pet out. It did feel pretty uncomfortable having him in this key, but this is something that happens sometimes. Even if somebody is high item level, and even if they are high score or they have a similar key timed for that dungeon, that doesn't make them a reliable player. it's sometimes hit and miss. Okay, let's see how Paladin handles this area. So I have no wings this first, but I will have wings for the next. I haven't done that many Nokhuds on Paladin. I played them a lot on Warrior and DK, so I know those like the back of my hand, but very few Nokhuds on my Paladin. Dude, I'm liking Paladin. I think it's in a way because I just don't have all of the cool toy. Like, I don't have trinkets. I don't have the gear set. I don't feel overpowered. I feel like the right type of... almost like the right type of Paladin. Because this is not my main Paladin, it's a fresh Paladin, and I'm doing the challenge with it. It doesn't have all the cool toys. Okay, we pop wings, we hammer, we get out of the way. Make sure we kite these mobs, dispel him. Eye of Teera, kick that, interrupt that, then just shield this, stun that. Oh, I missed, strong stun, an immune mob, not good. Cannot kick that, I can kick next. So at this point, I was pretty happy with my performance on this pack, and I sort of got my confidence a little bit back up because I did mess up in the previous ones. I just want my wings to come back up. They're not yet up. I'm so used to my Blood Elf Paladin. Every single time I see some of these mobs that are casting like something that's going to buff everybody, I feel like letting it go through because I can purge with the Blood Elf ratio. That's a very good point because when you actually play Blood Elf in a dungeon like Nokhud, you don't feel that in danger of kicking every single spell. A lot of the stuff here is purgeable, and especially if you couple that up with one or two classes that can additionally single target purge, you're pretty much good to go. I feel good about Paladin. Like this part of Nokhud, just so if some of you guys don't know, this part of Nokhud is very difficult for DK. Trashes on DKs. I always take so much damage when I play my DK, and especially in high keys, it really feels like you need to play all your cooldowns on point. And you really need to rotate a lot of cooldowns to stay alive, like permanently. Yeah, it almost feels like this third part of Nokhud, on pretty much any tank that you play, you always need to have your cooldowns. So if the key is too low, the mobs are going to be defeated too fast in order for you to get the cooldowns back up. And if it's too high, or the DPS is too low, then you might need to pop additional cooldowns and for the same pack. It's very difficult to learn the strengths of the class unless you challenge yourself a little bit and you play, you know, like this, like you pay a little bit higher keys under geared. I make this point very, very often. People ask me, like, how do you learn the mechanics of a dungeon? Well, the best way to learn them is to basically push. Regardless of what item level you have, push as high of a key as possible. Because then when you're going to take something that really messes you up, take a lot of chunk of damage, then you know, okay, that is an ability I need to watch out for. That is dangerous. And I tell that about pretty much everything. Regardless if you're a DPS or a healer, you should do the exact same thing. Because then you know exactly what is a threat and what is not a threat. If something is going to challenge you, then you know that's not really a gear issue. That's more of a how do I time my cooldowns type issue. Or maybe overall you need better DPS. Or maybe you need to use a potion at the right time. Or maybe you just need to not use a certain cooldown on a certain type of pool and see if you can maybe delay it until a different pool. Maybe it's just been a long day. I mean, you guys can feel, right? Like I'm more focused here, less focused there. I'm talking a little bit less, but my energy levels are dropping a little bit. This is also the reason why I'm doing these voiceover commentaries in parallel to me playing the key, because I didn't offer a lot of commentary during the live stream on these ones, and many of you were very understanding of that. It was pretty late at night, and I was trying to focus on getting these done as efficiently as possible. By the way, I want to know, do you guys also have this issue where your audio files stop working? Like, I cannot hear these guys doing their audios. I don't know why, but a couple of weeks ago, they changed a couple of things. They did some patch changes, and a bunch of different things broke. Some weak auras broke, some internal coding on many different things. It kind of broke also the audio, like you would hear the mobs talk when they would cast certain abilities, and that pretty much kind of stopped for me. It's also the way in which the game, it's like an internal weak aura for the game, right? The mob says something, the boss says something, and that automatically triggers in your memory, hey, I need to use this cooldown or there's something happening. I had the shield wall there because they were too far apart. and they already had a bit too many stacks. Yeah, I failed on that last one to bring them together pretty fast. I sort of mispositioned, and because of that I had to use shield wall. So I'm not gonna have it until pretty much the time I pull the boss. Here is where I mark the star on where people are gonna go with the spear, and I automatically put a skull and an X so people know those are the two mobs that I'm gonna focus. Here I make a call out to focus the left side and CC the right side, but as you will see when we pull the boss, this is not what happened. I don't know if I should have used Eye of Tear there. Maybe for damage, fine. It's okay if you use short cooldowns like Eye of Tear or maybe even Ardent Defender on these mobs, because you will have it up by the time you fight the boss. So I like to pull him on one side of the rock. It doesn't really matter on what side, but it's good to indicate the area where you want the person targeted by the spear to go. And this is not a very hard boss. Okay. It does become a little bit increasingly difficult on Tyrannical, but it's nothing any tank player cannot manage. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have taken Blessing of Spell Warding. That's a good point. Blessing of Spell Warding is a very good spell to use in this fight, especially in the third phase. In the first phase, you actually cannot use magic immunities because it's physical damage. More specifically, it's bleeds. That you cannot dispel them. The only thing you can do is basically just heal through them, shield yourself through them, use cooldowns and so on. And the healer pretty much needs to keep you up. But also, phase 1 is the easiest of them all. So here in phase 2, immediately Bloodlust. This is very good from the Shaman. He uses Link here, so nobody gets one shot. And of course, we do a very good job at handling CCs. On to phase 3. And I'm gonna go and position the boss at the same location as I did previously. I immediately pop wings because I want to... I also have Sentinel, so it gives me defensive benefits. Very good positioning by one of the team members. This is where I pull the boss out. After the initial charge of the spear, you want to pull the boss out, because the circles are gonna come, and in phase 3, the circles leave a void zone. You don't want to stand in those void zones. And then basically take him to the same position. A lot of people don't move, or they don't move enough, and they put the puddles near the rock, which makes it pretty much impossible to then respect the initial positions. Like right here, I don't know why, but yeah, he didn't position properly. And that's pretty much how you do it. Ooh, that's a good sword. We two-chested that. It was pretty easy. Well, that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the future videos we're uploading. Thank you very much for watching this one, and I will see you guys in the next one. If you want to watch another clip from the live stream, definitely click here. I recommend this one. And if you want to watch the full live stream, click here.